Hello, my name is Lonijonli, and welcome to Hello Creators. I got this idea recently to create a podcast and feature some interesting creators. In our first episode, I wanted to feature a close friend and brilliant creator. She is an extremely talented musician and singer. She also writes music and owns Mac Music in Big Stone Gap, VA. And last brag, she is my best friend and bandmate. Please welcome Madison Denhardt to the show.
Hello, you're so sweet. Thank you. First, I want to say thank you for having me, and I'm honored to get to be part of this new amazing project, and I really wish you the best with it. I think you're going to do amazing. So, thank you so much for having me.
Now, Madison, how did you first become interested in music, and when did you start playing your instrument and singing?
So, I started singing around the house when I was able to talk essentially. And I did sports as a kid. I did basketball, I did soccer, I did dance class, and I still did that stuff while I did music because I did start when I was only 6, so I was fairly young. But none of that really felt like I wasn't attached to it as much as I was music, because I always liked listening to music and singing. So I was like, you know what, I want to try it myself, and I was really drawn to the guitar, and the rest is kind of history since then for my journey there.
That's great.
Thank you.
Definitely professional.
Oh my goodness, I wish. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
And how many years have you been an artist?
I would say performing more solo, I guess more as like a professional level, since about 2018. I was in like a family band with my siblings back when I was like 12, so back in 2012. But then I started recording my own stuff around 2017, 2018, posting on YouTube. And I had my first solo gig actually not until 2023. I did an open mic by myself because normally I would always be playing with my sisters or with you. And so I was like, well, I'm going to go on a limb and just kind of play by myself. And so I've done a few gigs by myself since then. But primarily, I've still played, but with different bands, not really as much solo anymore, but somewhat
But
solo.
you're getting there. You
Oh,
just did a songwriting contest
oh,
where you entered
yes.
one of your solo songs.
Yes, that was a song I wrote back in 2017, called Thunderstorm. So that was one of my first OG songs, but we'll get to all that later. But but it was fun. It was fun.
What has been your favorite creation so far?
Oh my goodness, that is honestly hard. I would say the one that I'm the most proud of has been our Honeysuckle Dream EP, because that was like the first time that I got to do something that felt completely like really real, I guess you could say, um, because it was more professionally produced, and it was something that, me and you both put our hearts and soul and literal blood, sweat, and tears into. So I would say I'm really proud of that. Solo, though, I am probably really proud of my business and kind of my teaching um, experience. That's probably what I'm really proud of. Honestly, I do take pride in it, not in a bad way, but I do take pride that, I was 21 years old and opened a music shop and started teaching music. So that's probably, besides our EP, I would say my shop is probably my favorite like creation, if that counts.
Yeah, those are big accomplishments. A
Well,
lot of people would be even afraid to even try.
well, thank you. That means a lot. Just, and I would encourage to anybody out there though that, you do have dreams, like reach those dreams for sure. Don't let anybody stop you.
And you always have a chance to try and try again or
Mm-hmm.
even try something else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like I've made so many business mistakes and just it's trial and error. So like nobody's perfect at it. Um, and I am a music teacher, so I tell my students all the time that practice makes progress, and that when you do hear people record things, that's because they have done it over and over again to the point of perfection. So don't be comparing yourself to people you see online, or what you listen to that's been recorded, because in a sense it's not really that raw and real. Some are, of course, but don't compare yourself to that for sure.
Yeah, and practice makes progress. That's a really good quote.
Yes, I love that.
Do you have a favorite piece to perform on your instrument that showcases your ability? So, like your guitar. And I know that you can play pretty much any string instrument that you're handed, but let's tune in specifically to guitar.
Yeah, I would say it really depends on the kind of music that I've been working on at the moment. Like, um, growing up, it used to be a bluegrass piece. Most of the time, it was a flat picking song. Um, I really do like to play a lot of finger picking songs. So usually my go-to piece would be like Maine by Noah Kahan or like Real People Do by Hozier. Or if I'm just playing around, I'll just play some random just finger picking chords, um, and just pick around that way. So I would say probably Maine though by Noah is like my go-to song right now.
And you got to see him live, right?
Yes, last year. Best concert ever. Really, he also inspired me, which I'll talk probably about that later. But he really is. He's an inspiration as far as like his songwriting goes and all that. But his concert was amazing.
What is your favorite genre to write in? Because I know that you write a lot of music. You have a few of your singles out on YouTube. You have different covers.
Yeah.
So, what would you say your favorite genre is to write in?
I would say the most natural and something, that really, again, it's natural, it's easy, I guess you could say, is more slower folk style songs. Just because that's kind of what I listen to mostly. Although I've been trying to listen to not as that stuff, but most of the time, like folk. My older, earlier songs that were definitely more inspired of like a country folk, I guess you could say, just because of what I was listening to at the time. But I would say folk is more so my kind of style. I do like a little bit of indie, which is something I'm kind of trying to get into now, is more electronic style, not fully electronic or anything, but like incorporating that into the acoustics.
Yeah.
So I would say folk or like indie rock is kind of, I love that stuff.
Very vibey.
It's awesome.
What themes or concepts are you exploring in your current creations?
I would say a lot of it for me at the moment is finding things again that bring me joy that are most natural. Um, I would say also like finding things that are more relative to my life and writing about those things and making memories or using it as my therapy, as I do most of my songs or my way of therapy. Um, like I was working on a song that was going to enter for the songwriting contest. And literally the first line of the song is overthinking is my specialty. I guess it's something that I crave. Well, I was literally overthinking the song and didn't submit the song because I was overthinking. So, I mean, I'm still working on that. It's still a work in progress, but I just thought that was kind of funny and ironic. I'm like, well,
I just proved myself correct.
Exactly. I was like, great, I was like, well, maybe this is meant to be released at some point because literally I'm overthinking what I'm overthinking. So, yeah.
It's a really interesting topic. Like a lot of people struggle with overthinking, especially a lot of artists because they've got a lot of projects on their mind. They've got life outside of their project on their mind. I mean, it is their life, but they've got their work, they've got their living to do, and then they've got all their creative ideas and their dreams and stuff. And so overthinking is, I feel like, just normal for artists and creators.
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like it's such a relative thing too now that we have social media as like a thing of, comparison because before, people would kind of be more themselves, which again is what I always encourage everyone like to be themselves, and to create things that is yourself because if you try to write songs for other people or for contests, as you and I both have done before, writing songs to fit like what other people would like or whatever would sound popular, like no, you have to do, what you want to listen to. You have to make that kind of music that you want to listen to. Because if you don't, or make things that you want to create, or create things you want to see,
Right.
I said that backwards. So, even though it might not be everybody's cup of tea, as long as you love it, you won't reach the right audience and definitely, follow along with that. So
yeah, even until recently, like the genre that Noah Kahan does a lot of music in didn't really blow up until even COVID or after COVID. And so it fit that he was becoming a popular artist in this time when that music style started to become popular. So it's like, was he writing music that fit the popular stuff? No, he wasn't writing pop music or like radio country music. He was writing something different, but now that is really popular. And so sometimes it just takes time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and even it's funny for me for his progression too, because he started out actually playing more pop stuff, and his progression, the way he, you know, kind of changed as well, just more like what he wanted to do instead of what a record label would want him to do per se. Which, don't get me wrong, his older stuff is still beautiful, it's still amazing, but like the difference in the album Stick Season or even Forever versus like back when he did like Busy Head and all of that. Like it's similar, but it's still a different vibe. Again, it's still Noah, but it's still different. And TikTok is kind of too, like he blew up a lot because that's, again, social media really has influenced our generation of music, you know, since COVID, because lockdown put a lot of musicians, we were all out of work, essentially, you know, no concerts. Artists, it was really hard to survive during the pandemic when, you know, you're used to just getting out and being, you know, doing shows for people or creating things for people or teaching people. Like it was a hard time.
Yeah, it all went digital if people were even able to do that, because some people didn't have internet during that time, or some people didn't have the equipment to be able to record, so, or they wouldn't get popular, quote unquote, quote unquote. But some of them were able to become artists through digital stuff as well, which was very helpful.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll move on to the next question.
You're good.
How do you overcome creative blocks?
Oh my goodness. So this is one that I still struggle with, as I think most creators do. Most artists, I mean, I don't care who it is, you would still talk to somebody and be like, it happens to all of us. You know, not that we run out of ideas, but sometimes you just get in like the rut of things and you're just like, I just don't have any new ideas. But usually for me, I'll take a step aside and just kind of not really take a break, but like I'll go back to something that I have created before. And like with that being a song, I will play or sing that song and just kind of get back into like, oh, well, this was fun to sing or write this song. And just kind of go from there, and sometimes really continue with like another idea. But again, taking a step back, I know for me really helps a lot. And then sometimes if I'm feeling, especially musically, because I hear melodies a lot more than I would just hear lyrics. I'm working on being a better lyricist, but I think that's how you say it. I'm bad with words. I don't know. But I'm not very good with lyrics. Because I'm more blunt than I am like poetic, if that makes sense. So I have to work on that. That's something that I have to work on. But to answer the question, I definitely like to sometimes change it up a little bit and go to different tunings. That helps a lot. Gives different sounds. And a lot of times then when I hear the music, you know, the words, I can eventually start to hear the words or hear the story that I want to talk about or say. So I would say for me, it's always taking a step back, kind of reevaluating, going back to something that I love, and then change something up a little bit until I hear something new. So that's what works for me anyway.
And that's a great way to do it. It really is. I know when I started writing music with you, and I don't mean to talk about myself.
No, please talk about yourself. I want to hear, like, this is your podcast too. I want to hear about you.
So, like, when we started writing music together, I wrote lyrics first. I didn't write music first.
Wow.
And so, like, we were the exact opposite in the songwriting thing. So, I feel like that way we were able to work really well together. And, like, your ability to add in certain words or certain phrasing that I wouldn't think of.
Aww,
it was great. Like, a lot of times it would take me a long time to write a song or to write lyrics that would actually work. And then I was able to work with you, and we were able to write probably half of the album. Most of the songs were like 30 minutes or less.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Some were like, I think there was one, it was like 10 minutes. I think I had coffee. It hardly took any time to write that song, just because like you're really good at lyrics and putting ideas to it, so it works out really well.
I'm good with working with you. I'm good with working with you. Not everybody is able to bring out that side.
Well, I'm glad we can work together. That's awesome.
And I'll move on to the next question. How do you approach practicing and rehearsing? Do you have any special techniques or routines?
Not really. I do a vocal warm up that you introduced me to, which my family makes fun of me for. I did that at the contest, and they're like, "What are you doing?" But no, vocal warm ups help a whole lot. And then I would say for me, I would just like I get noodle energy is what I call it, and a lot of musicians do call it like noodling is when you're literally just playing random stuff, which is like chords or notes on a guitar neck or whatever. And I just like to get my nervous energy out by playing random like runs and scales on a guitar, essentially just to get myself warmed up, get my anxiety jitters because I do get very anxious because I deal with anxiety anyway. So that helps me kind of calm down a little bit if I'm about to like as a warm up. But just like rehearsal, um, I like to just be chill with it. Just run through the song. I thought you're gonna talk. A lot of times too, I always like to sit and kind of face an audience, a fake audience, if you will. Um, Growing up, though, I used to actually look in the mirror to rehearse.
It works.
Which is, I tell some of my students that, when you're dealing with confident issues and wanting, more confidence, I should say, looking in the mirror helps a lot because you can kind of see what your facial expressions are like, kind of what you look like because that's what people are going to see,
Right.
and you're an entertainer as well. So you have to be entertaining and not want to have your eyes closed the whole time or looking down. So I would say, for me, it's just getting all the nerves out and then just kind of rehearsing it as I would do it on stage. And then if I don't like something, be like, okay, what can I do to change that? You know?
That's great. That's so great. And I know that like different people have a hard time with like rehearsing or practicing, especially vocal warm up. Some of them are so embarrassing. I don't know why they're so embarrassing.
Right. They really are. Especially if you have been recovering from a cold or something and you're like, I can't hit that note, or you just sound strained. It's like, oh my goodness. It's like, oh, she doesn't sound good.
Like, no, I promise this isn't the song. I'm not just going, that's not the song, right? I promise.
Right, no lip trills.
What personal qualities or traits do you believe have been essential to your success in music?
Oh, that's a good one. I honestly don't know. I think humor has a lot to do with it, as finding that emotional and like comedic connection with an audience. Like that really helps a lot, being relatable. Um, and just kind of being yourself, but also being like kind to people. Um, because if your face just looks like you're mad to be on stage, that's like, oh, why does she want to be here? So I would say, just being myself and just being kind to people honestly goes a long way.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but it does.
What would be your most memorable? Wait, let me reword that. What's been the most memorable performance of your career and why?
Oh, that's another good question. I would say the most memorable was the first time, which there's been lots of memorable gigs, do not get me wrong. But the first time I did the open mic by myself, I was terrified. But most of the time I had other people on the stage with me. So it was like if everybody clapped, it's like that's for everybody, kind of deal. And when people actually clapped and liked me just by myself, I was like, that honestly gave me a sense of confidence that I hadn't really had before, because I was like, people actually want to listen to me. Like, it's not just, the whole band, which is nothing wrong with that. And I love playing with different bands. But like being by myself, I was like, wow, people actually want to listen to me and they like it. So that for me was very memorable. And just kind of knowing people to be like, oh wow, I didn't know that, because a lot of people wouldn't expect me to. I don't know. A lot of people get surprised when they say or they find out I sing, I guess. So I don't know. It was kind of sweet. It was a sweet memory.
What age were you when that happened? Like when that performance was?
Yeah, I was 22. So it was only like a few years ago. It was like a couple of years ago, actually. So it's not been that long ago. But again, like, you have helped give me that confidence, though, to get out and, like, be able to play. Because before, I was just kind of like, okay, well, I just teach, but, like, you actually made me realize it's actually fun to go out and play places and to meet people and that sort of stuff, put yourself out there. So
You've helped me develop as an artist too. Like I've said to you in different conversations, I completely lost my songwriting ability.
Yeah.
And it was becoming monotonous to perform.
Aww.
Singing, I didn't really do it anymore either. So you've really helped me as well. And that's part of the reason I wanted you on this first episode is because I was like, you have been so pivotal in my life. We've known each other since we were 6. Right. Okay, audience listening, it might be 3 people, but that's okay.
We don't care.
We have known each other since we were 6.
Yes.
And so we have seen each other through a little bit of everything.
Like every single era, pretty much, It's like, but it's also rare to find someone that accepts you and, like, loves you and is there for you through every season. When you're a child and you're like, you don't know who you are, then you get older and then you're still going different directions and stuff, and then you become adults, and it's just like, it's really rare to find somebody that you can vibe with, like, all through that. You know what I mean? Like, that's rare.
An artist, find your person you can vibe with. Yes. That will really help in your creative endeavors, is find your people.
Yes. Oh, 100%. And it's cool to me, too, because, like, I guess I know some people don't really, like, they can be creative together, but they don't really get along otherwise, but you have to be able to get along with that person.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people think that me and you were just, like, bandmates. It's like, no. It goes way deeper than that. So I'm very blessed that we can be both, like, if we just want to do something like a podcast, or if we want to watch a movie, or if we want to go out somewhere, we just want to chill or just sit on our phones on the same couch, like, we can do that. We can also go on a stage and perform a gig together. Like, that is rare to find, so I'm very blessed to have you in my life.
Oh, cry. Before I start crying, I'm going to ask the next question.
Okay.
What's the story behind the creation of your first album or single, and how did it feel to release it?
So the first, I will talk about both of them, because the first one was a cover I did, and I posted it on Instagram, I think, first, and I did a YouTube cover and put it on YouTube as well. But I did a cover of No Excuses by Need to Breathe, because they were a huge influence growing up. And my first guitar teacher, his name is Anthony Keys, and he's amazing. But it's funny because as a kid, because I was 6 years old when I started, as a kid, I used to think that he was the lead singer of Need to Breathe, because their voices were very similar. They are very similar. And so, of course, that's like the first cover thing I did. And actually, one of the bandmates from Need to Breathe liked the post on Instagram, which was really cool.
Goals.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, here I was like 17. I was like fangirling out. I was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. But that was like the first time I did like a post of any sort of fashion of that. And then first album, I've had a lot of people ask me about like a solo album or EP, which I want to start working on, because I do have several original songs that I would love to do. It's just getting
the time. And they're great.
You're sweet. It's just the time to actually do it, because I'm also a perfectionist. So the time and money, I guess, is like my next thing. But that's something that I want to work on.
Because talent is not an object of problem.
Right.
There's plenty.
I just understood what you said.
No. Like, I worded it so weird.
No.
So, what I mean is, talent is no...
Okay.
Talent is no, like, issue. There's tons of talent and tons of writing ability.
Oh my goodness.
There's just so much creative passion there.
Oh my goodness.
So,
you're
the ability to write the album is definitely there.
Oh, well, thank you. That is something I want to work on, though. That's, like, on my list to do soon, whenever I get time.
It's the time, man. you wouldn't think that taking a 3-minute song, most of the time the 3 minutes would take like 5 hours sometimes.
Right? We learned that doing our EP with our 6. I mean, yeah, it just takes a lot of time. So I would probably have to find some, like, I would go get it recorded somewhere because I do not have the patience. I've tried, but I am too picky and a perfectionist. So that's the.
And find a good audio person to work with.
Yes, which we were blessed to find one, and that somebody you trust too. That's a huge deal.
Oh, yeah. What or who are some of your inspirations? And we've already talked a little bit about Noah Kahan. I know you've got some others though.
Yes. So he's probably more my present day. I also love Lord Huron. That band is amazing. Because before Noah, they were my huge fixation. Because I liked their style because they were like a country, but like it wasn't country because I don't listen to country music. People get surprised, like I do not like country music, honestly. But we live in an area where that's where a lot of people like to listen to music. I grew up having to listen to some of that music, not like modern country. So, I'm not a huge like country fan. So, but Lord Huron has a good mix of like acoustics and electrics, and kind of has like an older, almost like Marty Robbins kind of sound in a way, but like in a modern way. So I respect it. I like their music, and they're pretty good at like just different melodies and stuff. So I would say Lord Huron, of course, Need to Breathe, like I mentioned earlier, they were really influential. And I would say, honestly, too, like, I'm trying to think of like a good female artist.
Life, hold on.
Leve?
Yes.
Yeah, I love her, I love her stuff. I would say that a lot of my lyrics are not very much like hers, but she is definitely like, her and Biba Doobie are like two women that I adore. And I'm like, I love their vibe. I love their music. And just as a woman, they're inspirational as a female artist. And I would say also a little bit of, Joshua Radin. He was super influential, when I first started doing covers and stuff, like his songwriting and stuff. Because I also did like a cover of his song, which at the time, of course, those recordings they're kind of garbage. So now listen, I'm like, I've definitely progressed since then. So those are posted on YouTube, but I've definitely progressed since then. But I would say he's probably very influential as well. So all those people, you kind of, but it's very broad. That's the thing too. My music taste is all over the place, so it's very broad.
It works though.
It does. I love it.
If you could collaborate with any artist, past or present, who would it be and why?
Oh my goodness, that is so hard. I would love to be able to like probably work with another one of my favorite artists, Josiah Queen. A lot of his songs, I could see that. I would love to be a mandolin player for Noah Kahan. That would be a dream, but of course, like that's never gonna happen. But I think it's pretty cool.
It's up. I mean, Noah. If I tag you in this post, maybe I don't know.
Oh my goodness, no! But I mean, I just think it'd be cool. Need to Breathe too would be awesome. But honestly, I'm just open to creating anything with anybody. That that if we share the same vibe, I think that'd be really cool. To do because I've learned through my business, I've learned through my music stuff, like you just never know where the next thing's going to take you. And sometimes, it can be like, well, I probably shouldn't have done that. But a lot of times I'm glad that I've taken that risk and done that. Like when you wanted to record Bluebird Love and enter the contest, I was like, I don't know where this is going to go. But then we ended up making a whole little band out of it and like recorded a whole EP and like I wrote songs and like
it's been like 5 years since that.
That's crazy. It has been. No, this year will be 6 years.
6? Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. But the contest was like 2021, so that was like what, 4 years ago. But still, like it's really cool. Of just how things how God opens each door to different things, and you just take the risk and you're like, oh, that's really cool.
Right.
And how you meet people and how that works out. So I would say I'm open to a lot of things
But Noah Kahan, definitely.
I would love to play some mandolin on All My Love, okay? That would be, because one time I did watch a live stream. I have a habit of, like, if I'm watching a musician on, like, YouTube or something, I'll have my guitar and I'll sit there and play along with them to the songs because I think it's so fun. It's like having the band effect without being in the band, you know?
Right.
But anyway, that's the whole. I get on rabbit trails. I'm sorry.
Can you share the story of your artistic journey?
Yeah, so I was, again, I mentioned some of this kind of bits and pieces earlier, but I was 6 years old. I started with guitar lessons, did that for a couple of years. Um, and again, I just kind of fell in love with music and playing. It came very natural to me. Then I picked up the mandolin, and then after that, I picked up the fiddle and bass, and then banjo a little bit. Ukulele, I picked up actually later on. I didn't pick it up until like 2017, I think, or 2018. Um, so I just kind of started just playing around. Then my siblings started playing music because I did it, I guess. Maybe that's why they did it. I don't know. But they also are very talented. And so we all would just kind of jam together in the living room because we didn't grow up with like cell phones or internet or cable or anything. So we grew up on Little House on the Prairie and instrument. And so that's kind of how we kind of got started. And I kind of got started that way. And just kind of have grown since then.
That's great.
Yeah.
And if you could go back and give advice to your younger self, your childhood self, just starting in music,
yeah,
what advice would you give yourself?
That is a good question.
And I'm sorry, audience, while she's thinking, I have 2 dogs, and one of them is crying at my door. So
It's growling at us. He's like, "You kicked us out." Like, no, babe, we didn't kick you out. We're just trying to record. So please excuse. Yeah, that's something too. Is that this is very like, I like the real and like rawness of this. That's awesome. Which you might want to edit. Okay, so back to the question. I would say, like, you don't have to be perfect. Like, quit trying to be perfect and quit trying to please everybody because I'm a natural people pleaser. And it's like, no, you should have just wrote and not cared what people thought. You know, you should have just kind of listened to what you wanted to listen to and not care what other people thought. So I would just say, if I could tell her, I would just be like, listen, don't care about what anybody thinks, do it for you. And it's okay to say no to people as well, you know?
Yeah.
So that would be my advice.
And I bet your younger self will be like, what did we go through to get this response?
Right. But at the same time, like, I know the little me is so proud because what I am doing with my life is exactly like what I always envisioned myself doing. So, like, I know she's proud, and every single day, that's what drives me to do what I do is knowing that I'm making her proud. So,
She would be so proud.
I know. I'm happy for her. Even though she had to go through a lot. I'm glad. I'm glad.
What do you have coming up next? Any projects or collaborations that you're particularly excited about?
Yes. So, I would say I've got a lot kind of, I want to say, going on. So I published my own personal website back in January, like right at the very beginning of January, because I am trying to build myself as more of a solo artist as well. But the thing I'm most excited about is just kind of, I'm now converting because I had a music shop, but I got too busy to do everything that I do on top of having a music store. So I cut out the music store aspect and I'm now converting into just like a music lesson studio. I believe I have 23 private students right now. And I also teach at like a community college. I teach a few classes there. So I'm really excited to kind of hone in into my studio and just kind of create that to be a safer space. And I have big dreams for that one day, hopefully. But I would say the next project I'm excited about working on would be recording our next song and getting that completed and seeing where that takes us. And hopefully doing like a mini tour that we're going to try to build at some point this year. So like that's really exciting. As far as collaborations go, again, just our honeysuckle dream stuff is really a lot of fun. I'd also love to make more music with my sisters, but we're all busy and have different lives, so it's hard to do that. But I would love to be able to do at least like record a song with some of them. I think that'd be awesome.
Especially where Claire just started her Spotify. She just released one on there.
Yeah, so where she's That's Sister Claire Chill. That's her little style of music. You can look her up. She's amazing. And I think it's funny too because like her voice is kind of similar to mine, but like it has a whole different we have like the same kind of tone, but like it's different. It's really cool though. But um I would love to get to do some stuff because our harmonies are very like
they're so good.
They're very close. It's kind of crazy. It's like different version of my voice. So it's really cool.
Is there anything else you would like to say to the listening audience?
Well, again, I would like to thank you for letting me be on your podcast, especially the first episode. I feel so honored. Sorry, my tea is clicking around.
Wait, we're thirsty, man.
Right. But I would just say again, follow your dreams. And don't let anybody stop you. Don't care about people's opinions, and also know that practice makes progress. And that you should always just want to create stuff for your own sake. If for nobody else, it should be for yourself. Because I'm sure there are other people that are your same vibe and that we're gonna like it too. So definitely follow your dreams and do it. Just do it. Is what we like to say. Just do it.
Well, thank you so much for being on my first episode, and thank you for being so encouraging and stuff.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
Oh, I can't. I literally about cried a few times.
Oh,
but I was like, I don't want to cry on my laptop.
Yeah, we don't want all this to get. We don't want this to get damaged. I'm pulling out your headphone again.
Okay. So, thank you so much for being on the first episode, and I appreciate you for really being like real and raw with all the questions, and I look forward to hearing your future projects, your solo work, and maybe play a mandolin for Noah calling. Maybe one day, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe when I'm old.
Maybe when you're old. Oh my gosh. Like Queen coming in with silver hair, like, yeah.
Oh my goodness. How funny.
But yes, Noah, I don't know, man. You sometimes watch stuff that people tag you in.
I mean, that's true.
So, yeah, we're just gonna get Madison to record herself playing some mandolin and put it out there, and then we'll see.
I love me some mandolin. Mandolin makes everything sound a little bit better and folky. I don't know.
Mandolin's
really is.
But she's good, man. She's good. I'm gonna promote her to you, man. I don't know if you're gonna listen to this, but hey.
Hilarious. Oh my word.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Okay, I'm gonna shut this off now.
That's good with me.